fellas, it's no surprise that Israel Adesanya is one of the most hated MMA fighters right now. He has been for a while, to be honest. He's been one of the most disliked fighters for the past couple of years, and we're going to be talking about in this video why exactly he's one of the most hated MMA fighters. I did a video similar to this a couple of days ago. It was why do MMA fans love Charles Oliveira and Alex Pereira, and now we're going to be doing the opposite with Adesanya. So, like I said, no surprise that not a lot of people like him, but we're going to be talking about why. We're going to split it into two sections as well. We're going to do his personality and him as a fighter, because I think both of those are key versions to why people dislike him. But yeah, he's got a lot of haters. A lot of people have stopped respecting him recently. And yeah, please let me know if you agree with these takes, or let me know your thoughts on Israel Adesanya yourself. But we're going to go in there with the first point, which is him as a person. Now, Israel Adesanya, his personality is a large reason why a lot of MMA fans don't really like Israel Adesanya. First of all, let's talk about his cringe one-liners. The whole frozen like Elsa thing, it just gets boring after a while. Like, it's so forced. Even the thing at the press conference with Sean Strickland, I forgot exactly what he says. It was something like, if you argue with an idiot, or if you argue with a fool, you are a fool. Something like that. I don't exactly remember what it is, but he talks, the way he talks to himself, he expects it to come off so cold. Like, he thinks he's saying some like proper cold quote, and he's really cringy. That's part of the reason why a lot of people mock him. He's also a bit of a creep. Listen, I'm not going to go into it. I'm sure everyone knows it already, but the whole dog situation, he's just a bit of a weirdo. Kind of reminds me of someone who hasn't had he kind of reminds me of someone who hasn't really had anyone in his life to tell him what's right and wrong. I kind of feel like he's surrounded by yes men a lot of the time, personality-wise, and he's just really annoying. Like, he's just an annoying person. Like, a part of that, he hates on our favourite fighters as well. Alex Pereira, Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa. He's had press conferences with them, and he's hated on all of them. He has beef with most of the people he fights. The only person I could think of that he hasn't really hated is Anderson Silva and Jared Cannonier. Apart from that, you know, he's always talking bad about Strickland. It was quite funny as well. Started mocking his fighting style and then loses to that fighting style. Obviously, Alex Pereira says like 5 words a press conference and none of them's in English, and still manages to rile up Israel Adesanya. He gets annoyed pretty easily, and he's just pretty annoying. He just yaps on for too long. Always blames the media for this, always complaining as well, and he's just not a likable person. He doesn't come across as a person that you're going to want to be friends with. Like, you've got people like, you know, people like Jamal Hill, Alex Pereira, Sean Strickland. These are people that you probably want to be friends with. Maybe not Sean Strickland, he'd probably take it too far, but Israel Adesanya, he just doesn't come across as someone that you're going to want to be friends with. He's quite unlikable, bit narcissistic, always talking about how good he is. And yeah, he's just not got the best personality, you know. He's always trying to show off, always trying to make everything about him. You know, Dricus du Plessis beats Robert Whittaker, and immediately he's there in the octagon trying to make it about him when Dricus has just won. And I do blame the UFC for that as well, because they didn't even let Dricus properly finish his own interview before they passed it on to Adesanya. But I just don't really like Adesanya as a person. I think he's cringy. I mean, I don't need to tell you that he's cringy. I think everyone knows that. Same for being a creep. I think everyone knows that he's a bit of a creep recently as well. And like I said, the whole hating on our favourite fighters thing, you know, talking about Paulo Costa, and it's funny in the press conference as well, when he's all this on Twitter, you know, I can't speak myself here, but on Twitter he's talking about Sean Strickland all the time, and then it comes to the press conference and he doesn't say anything. And his dress sense as well, dressing up in dog collars and things and fighting with, I just don't really like the guy. He doesn't come across, like, beats Paulo Costa as well. And this is what I also don't like about him. After the fight with Sean Strickland, he tells Sean Strickland, listen, please don't talk about my dog, that's family, please don't insult me, because he knows if he did, then Strickland, if he didn't say that, then Strickland would have been wild on the mic. And then you've got Adesanya beating Alex Pereira and pretending to shoot his kid with an arrow, and then pretending to be Alex Pereira knocked out to Alex Pereira's sons, and then beating Paulo Costa and then practically bumming him. He's so, what's it called, hypocritical as well. Because let's be honest, if he beat Sean Strickland, I know full well he would have been doing the weirdest emotes in the octagon. But that's why I don't like him as a person, and that's why a lot of MMA fans dislike Adesanya as a person. But then we move on to him as a fighter. Now, I'm going to go straight in there. The emotes are just not it, man. The in-octagon emotes, there was a couple cool ones that he did against Anderson Silva that kind of got him all those highlight reels. But apart from that, I'm not a fan of all these. What was it? The rematch with Robert Whittaker where he pretended to play rock, paper, scissors. I just think his emotes are quite cringe, and a lot of the time he doesn't back up his talk. And I'm not saying that he doesn't win fights to back up his talk. I mean, obviously the first Pereira fight and the second and the first Strickland fight say otherwise, but it's the fact that he says he's going to go out there and obliterate people. Like the Jared Cannonier one, for example, he almost promised to finish. He said he's going to get him out there quickly, and then he just leg kicked him to a decision as well. Same with the second Whittaker fight. Says he's going to knock him out quicker than he did the first time, and then arguably Whittaker won that fight as well. So he can never really back up his talk when he's talking about finishing, but obviously he does win fights. And that I said this before, and a lot of people disagreed, but I still stand by this. I feel like Israel Adesanya, he's always boring as a defender. Like when he's fighting for the belt, like against Alex Pereira or the first time he fought for the belt, I feel like he's always in a fun fight and he's always on like A game, S tier game when he's fighting for the belt. But whenever he's defending the belt, he becomes so much worse. And I'm talking about the Whittaker fight, the Jared Cannonier fight, the Yoel Romero fight, the Marvin Vettori fight, and then obviously the one he had with Strickland just then. He just let Strickland get a win off him, and obviously that I'm not saying he had the choice, but I feel like Adesanya's always bet worse as a defender than he is normally when he's like fighting for the belt. But as a defender, I feel like Adesanya's always worse. But another thing, he talks about himself like he's Pavlovich. You'd think by the way that he bigs himself up that he's getting finishers like Sergey Pavlovich, and his style is literally leg kicking people to a decision and talking like he's finishing people. That's literally what he did. I'm going to keep bringing up the examples. That's what he did against Whittaker. That's what he did against Marvin Vettori. It's what he did against Jared Cannonier. It's what he tried to do against Sean Strickland, but luckily Strickland could check a leg kick, so he couldn't do that against Strickland. But I feel like as a fighter, he's only getting worse now, let's be honest. I don't think he's going to be champion again. He might get a title shot, and that's the problem. He's got Dana White privilege as well because he's a big star, so he's always going to get these opportunities in the UFC where there's people like Dricus du Plessis who deserves it over him, but he's probably going to get an immediate title shot. But I hope he doesn't win. Not out of a place of, listen, I hope he doesn't do well in life, but I want to see Strickland go on his own run now. Like we've had the Adesanya era from 2019 to 2022. Even that was quite corrupt because Pereira beat him. Now it's the Strickland era. Now it's the Deshaun Strickland era. I want to see Strickland start winning, but yeah, this is why overall I feel like people don't like Adesanya. He talks about himself, he's just annoying, he's not the nicest person, and you look at his fighting style, and it's just boring. Like, we just come off a massive fight with Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski 3, and then the next fight was Cannonier versus Adesanya, and it just kind of ruined the card. It was a terrible main event, and I know I keep bringing that example up and I keep waffling, but that for me is why MMA fans dislike Israel Adesanya. Please let me know your opinions on Adesanya. Personally, I think it's the end of an era. I think he needs to get his personality in check, and if he wants to continue being a fighter, then he needs to change a lot of things up. He needs to become more hungry. We need the Gastelum Adesanya back. Either way, let me know your thoughts on Adesanya. Thank you for watching.